Okay, this is going to be a practice on sketching rocks. I'm going to start, most of the time I only have a mechanical pencil with me, so I'm just going to grab that. What rock is on top? This one. This one will have an outline. Okay, what touches that one? This touches it. One behind that touches it, so it comes right here, curves around. And these look like Easter eggs kind of right now. And there's a curve here, touches that. We'll draw a little rectangle, and we'll probably hit it with the tape in a minute. And these are not going to be at all identical, but that's okay. No, that one should be way bigger. That one, we'll make that bigger. We'll make it go to the corner. Almost to the corner. And then this one tucks under. There's one here. It's more squared off. There's one back underneath there, and this continues up under there. And there's this odd shape one, not quite that pointed, like that. And you see dark back there. We're going to start with a wet on wet. And lay, do not have clean water. Really should get clean water. Y'all learn from my mistakes, okay? Okay. This one has some of that color in it. This one has a little bit of that. More white. Oh, a little bit of orange, actually. Whoop. It's expanding its horizons. That's all right. We'll just take some of that color over here. This color down here. It's on the tip of that one. I want it wetter than that. Okay, spray bottle. There's blue all in through here. Little blue over here. Might want it a little brighter than that. Let's make this one a little brighter. Dries a little duller. These can be pretty rocks. And that's a lot of paint. Dab it off. A little whiter yellow. Kind of that greenish color. Oh no, that's really a mess, isn't it? There's some red down in there. All right, now, while it's damp, I'm going to come back with the brush that I just rinsed out of my water. I'm going to lift off some of the edges. I'll get a paper towel. A little easier to control. And some of this needs to be a lot lighter. But the paper towel also gives it texture. And that needs to be a little darker on the other side. Way darker down in there. You only do this when it's semi-dry. You don't want it very wet or it really bleeds. It's already bleeding a little more than I want it to right in here. So I can get thicker paint. Blue in there. That's too harsh a line. Lift some of that up. That's not near dark enough down there. I'm going to get that with a different brush. I'm going to get my small dagger, Calia 1/8 of an inch dagger. I got way too much dark on this lower corner. Just with this, lift it off. Okay, now up here. I want the dark of the background to create the edge of that rock. See how when I cut in the negative space, need a little blue on there. There's quite a bit of blue on these rocks. Not sure where they are. Blue does reflect from the sky, but I don't think that's what it was all about. I wasn't there. I don't even know where these rocks are from because I just pulled it offline. Okay, need some texture on this. This one was a lot darker. The texture of this paper is cold press. It's got quite a pattern on it. Some paintings it works well for, others it does not. Rocks, it helps. Coming back with fairly thick dark black right here just to push some of that further in the background. River rocks can be very smooth. See, that's blurred into the rock that where I don't want it to be. It's a shadow. Let me get a bigger brush. Calia number 10 flat shader. can't get it light enough, paint it back with white. This is fairly loose white, soft white, where the other colors can come through. If I want it thicker, I can lay it in and then paint over it. I think that's what I'll do here. This one should be pretty bright. And the tip of this one should be pretty bright. If it's not, you have a choice when you're working with lights and darks. If it's not showing up, then your darks aren't dark enough. This is a shadow cast from the rock above, creating a nice hard edge for the rock below. Kind of a bluish, very dark.
That's my babe.
Doing okay. See how painting the negative space behind it, that was the negative space. It's actually the rock behind it, but painting it right up to the edge of this rock, that created the edge for the rock below. So I'm coming back with lighter to get this rock right here. A little bit lighter down below, right below it, on this part of the rock. It's in the light. My paint's getting a little globby. See, I need to mix it up. The most texture will be in your lightest areas. Most shadows are very thin. And dragging that across that rock, this rock. I like some of the texture on it while I'm got some thick paint. Really should be doing this last. I was kind of letting this part of the painting dry. And making that fairly thick, and then I need to come back and add a little bit of color on top of that. Need to come back over here and fix this where it was too wet. I can push the color back to reestablish the edge of that rock. You got to be careful when you do that and be aware of the type of paint paper you're working with so that you don't tear up your paper too much. Okay, I got a line right there. That's all one rock under there. All right, I'm gonna get my thinner brush, reestablish some of the darkest darks right in here. Need a little more water in my brush. Let's get a blue black. That's ultramarine and black together. Wanted it cool, so a little line through here. Oh, I see I've gotten some of this too dark. Lift off some in a minute. That establishes the edge of that rock. That line is too dark, too harsh. I want it to be blurred between the rocks. And when I drag some of this behind it, it even has a dent in it. Don't get that dent in. Okay, let's go get some darks that are up in there. I'm losing the shape of my rocks because I don't have enough dark back here. All right, this is really flowy black. Too much water, but might just let it sink in. Need to cut my husband's hair, so I'm going to stop and do that in just a minute. He hasn't had a professional haircut in over 40 years. So we've been married 40 years and we dated for 2 before, so I've been cutting his hair a long time. That one will look like an egg, that's okay. Can't actually see it. And I'm not worried about these lines being too harsh right now because I know I can come back and soften them. It's one thing I really like about gouache. You see how much I've done with one brush? That this was full of paint and I've gone all the way around. Okay, now this is still kind of wet. If I touch it when it's almost dry, sometimes I have a tendency to lift off, but hopefully I'll have a light enough touch not to ruin it. Go ahead and model the rocks while you're putting in the shade. And I'm coming right behind that other one. That one should be bluer and somewhat in the shade. If you can see outlines like here, then that's where you need to soften them. You don't want to see right there, that's an outline. So make it, blur it and make it a cast shadow on the rock below or the ground below. If it still shows as an outline, then go back and fill it in. Make that area darker so you create the illusion of a shadow rather than a shadow. You create an edge because of that rather than... I lost my train of thought, sorry. I'm going to lift some of that off. If you don't want it to be so harsh, soften the line a little bit and I just lifted it up too much, so my brush is too wet. And while I've got it red, I'll dabble color other places. Why not? A little more blue on that one. I want green. I'm just picking up some green that I had from another painting. Dabbing that in, a little bit on this one. It'll be darker in the shadows. And I put a little bit over here, touch here, just to... Now those two are too much the same color, so I need to show that one is over the other. I'll make this darker up under here. This part right here should be pretty dark. And we're not sure what's happening there, so that rock should have been bigger. I'll just put another one in there. Pretend there's one right there. So it's not such a big hole. And let's speckle this out so it's not harsh. This could be a little yellower. Wrong color. Well, okay, got a darker color, so I'll just go here. That was the wrong color for there. That should have been light. River rocks have all sorts of colors on them, so little bits of moss. That's too distracting, so I'm going to just tone that down just a little bit with some gray. Pull out some more white. Drag that on the upper part of this one. It's a texture. It's pretty dry. Okay, I'm looking to see this part right here needs to be darker because that's in the shade. That pushes the edge of this rock forward. That one had a bit of an outline. I'm going to put some brown tone. Oop, that's really watery. Well, while I have it, I'm going to dab it over here on this one. Tone that bright color down. That needs to be darker in here. I'm going to extend this blue rock. I'm going to extend this blue rock up. We're just going to make it bigger. Isn't that nice? We can do that. Okay. Might not be as realistic as you see here, but that's okay. I'm going to make that part darker. And hopefully it won't be too wet next to the blue. We will find out. Going back and I'm looking where the darkest dark is and trying to lay that in. I need to smooth this rock a bit. This side is too bright to be not at the top. So I'm going to pull some of this grain tone up on it. This has a little more shadow on it. This is nice. I like this tiny little dagger brush because then I can reach into little corners, get it to a point if I need to. This rock has a little dent in it. And a lot of these have a variety of color and textures to them. Now I'm going to go back with the dry brush, try to add a little bit more. That's what I needed. I needed dark right down in here. And just a hint of it over here that pushes this one forward just a little bit. And a little bit of shadows back in there. Oop. That's too thick. Oop. Too gray. A lot of oops on this, but I think it's coming around. Add some light on that. That already had. I don't want it quite to be quite that pointed. Want a little more speckles in here, and a little reflected light up in here. And we've got ourselves a little collection of river rocks. Variety of colors, variety of textures. I'm going to add just a hint of some other pebbles. I don't know if I like that or not, but there. Oh, this needs a little shadow under it. See if I can give that a little shadow. Yes, that's what it needed. Because this one's on top, so it's casting shadows. Ooh, look at that drop of water almost landed on my painting. All right, we'll remove the tape. Almost remove the tape. I want to make that a little darker right in there. Be careful of water drops rolling down the edge of your brush. A little darker right in here. Yeah, well, there we go. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. Find yourself some rocks, look them up online, go to a river, take a picture, zoom in, get just a few so you're not overwhelmed, or separate and take a picture one at a time. Whatever allows you to approach the painting with less frustration. Oh, I've heard if you ever have trouble peeling the tape off, to hit it with a hairdryer, and also peel it way back like this. Right now I can see my pencil line of my original sketch, so I'll just get rid of that. Okay, we have ourselves some rock studies. I hope this helped.